Hey there, I'm Mark from Spectrum Pulse, and today we have from Alessia Cara Love and Hyperbole. You know, for years now, I found myself bemused that folks still want me to cover Alessia Cara. She had a moment in the mid-2010s, a little bit more traction up here in Canada, but nothing that sustainable. I largely chalk that up to Def Jam having no clue how to properly manage her career, and that last culminated in 2021 with In the Meantime, which was so clumsily languid and forgettable that I said at the time nobody would really track it. But hey, it still wound up on my schedule. I figured Canada deserves some better representation beyond, well, you know, and I wanted to give Alessia Cara one more shot. And what do you know? When it seems like even fewer people care, Alessia Cara swung around to deliver her best album to date, taking many of the 2000s R&B, neo-soul, adult alternative flourishes that she touched on her sophomore album, The Pains of Growing Up, and well, she grew into them. And the biggest leap might be subtle, but for me it was immediately noticeable. The percussion hasn't just shifted to more live textured drum work, but the production is warmer and more lively and can better flatter the grooves, especially the richer bass lines. Gee, I don't know, if you swap out a bunch of lesser known ringers for goddamn Mike Elizondo, who co-produced half of this album and knows how to add meat and flair to these mixes and did a ton of seminal work in the 90s and 2000s, you can get a record that can emulate a lot of that nostalgia way more effectively. It also helps matters that Alessia Cara sounds so much more loose and vibrant. The husky, girlish exuberance is still here, but it's better tempered. It's not trying to feign sophistication, and as such she sounds way more comfortable looking back to this era than a lot of the distorted TikTok microcosm of it. I love how playful Run Run is, where she makes a warning to not get with her sound remarkably appealing, very reminiscent of I Could Drive You Crazy by Sierra Farrell, but R&B neo-soul instead of country. And Get To You is effectively a 90s pop rock throwback that Wolf Alice could have cut. But this can also be a double-edged sword, because I was there. I remember the mid-2000s and all the influences she's drawing from, especially that Amy Winehouse impression where, I'm sorry, Alessia Cara just does not have that edge. The jazzy big band flair with the clattering drums and horns on Dead Man, it was fun, but I know the original. Now, there were some more modern touches. Left Alone feels like a song that SZA could have cut. Drive is so effortlessly supple and dreamy in the guitar layering. Isn't It Obvious snags a guitar solo from John Mayer of all people to complement the smoky vibes. And Nighttime Thing with its new disco rollick, it was actually written for Doja Cat, but Alessia Cara makes it her own. But the lush vocal overdubs on Subside with the strings, the rattling acoustic of Feels Right, some of the throwback hip-hop R&B touches which Elizondo can handle in his sleep on Slow Motion, that translate excellently into the gentle acoustics of Clearly to end out the album on a high note, those add a melodic diversity that helps Alessia Cara's sound feel more like her own. So okay, if the music and production and performances are better, surely the songwriting and lyrics got there, right? Well, yes and no. The thematic arc of the project, starting from depression and relationship melodrama, all the hyperbole she described, to something more mature and love-struck, is pretty conventional, but it is well executed. She's got the attitude to pull off good breakup songs like Left Alone and Dead Man. She's self-aware enough to assess the self-care that she really needs and to be introspective. She can deliver a range of love songs, from the mildly exasperated but steamy Isn't It Obvious, to not overthinking the fling on Feels Right, to clearly being the post-relationship acknowledgement of, you know what, maybe we can actually be friends in the end. The relationship didn't work out, but we can move on. And it's handled really well. But part of Alessia Cara's initial charm was her knack for very distinctive details to paint the scene. And these songs seem to be missing some of that idiosyncratic personality. She's got a better handle on her pure writing chops. She's raised her floor, but now a little bit more of that flair could put more of these songs from good to great, especially as cuts like Fire wind up feeling kind of basic, even as a pop song. But as a whole, this is exactly the direction I wanted Alessia Cara to go in. It feels like she's properly grown into her sound. She nails the tasteful throwback way more effectively than a lot of her peers. The organic grooves are utterly magnetic, and while it is plainly nostalgia bait and the writing could afford a little bit more detail to help the songs pop off more strongly, the craftsmanship as a whole is markedly better. This was a nice little pleasant surprise with a couple great songs for the trouble. Looks like the pains of growing have subsided, and we're all the better for it. Very good album, I'd say it's worth a listen. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you want to see more, please be sure to like, share, drop comments, subscribe. I'll freely admit I did not expect to like this as much as I did, but hey, it was a lot of fun, pretty special. Again, I gotta appreciate some Canadian content that's not just Drake and Party Next Door, especially when it's more tasteful and more interesting. But beyond that though, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if y'all want to get involved in getting projects on my schedule, or hell, just support the channel or argue with me on my Discord, YouTube memberships and Patreon are available. Please don't feel obligated, tough times, but the option's available. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.